Hello and welcome to another video. So after reading the patch notes, I wanted to make a quick video to see what the changes were to miners, ball lightning mine in particular, and how bad the nerfs are, if there are even any nerfs. So TLDR, pretty much will be kind of the same. You'll have to switch around a few points, but it might even be stronger than last league. Not quite sure yet, need to see when it's live with the slower projectile changes. So first of all, I'm going to go over the nerfs and then over the buffs. So first of all, the nerfs, the biggest one being slower projectiles. It's changing from 50% less projectile speed to 30%, which the way ball lightning mine works is when your ball lightning travels, you see the ball, obviously I'm going to put slower progen to show it better. So it travels, and pretty much every time the ball passes through enemies, it keeps ticking and dealing damage. It takes like, I think the cap is 13 times that it can take on an enemy. And obviously with the 50% less projectile speed, since the ball travels so much slower, it has more time to do all the takes on the enemy, so that's how you got a lot of damage from it. And now with the change to it, pretty much to save you a lot of hassle to work it out, instead of pretty much trying to get the ball moving as slow as it's moving now, because it moved kind of faster after the update, you just want to make the ball bigger, and how you do that is just investing in increased area of effect. Now, area damage does not scale ball lightning mine, so area damage is pointless, but things like this, increased area of effect, that will make the ball bigger. And what happens is when the ball is bigger, obviously it has, even when it moves faster, it has more time to reach, to deal the damage takes on the enemy, since the ball will be bigger, so obviously there's more time between the endpoints of the ball. Now, I didn't explain that probably the best as I could, but pretty much once the changes are live, you want to go for 100% increased area of effect, which will be the cap point to still have the same amount of ticks on the enemy as you currently have now with this slower projectile. So you'll probably want to pick up increased area of effect here. So these nodes, you get 30% there, you get another 20% here, you already get 30% from your ascendancy. So it won't be too much investment to get the increased area of effect, to still have the same amount of things. And there's a video I saw of Pat of Matt, who made a really good in-depth video explaining how ball lightning worked and the interaction, and how he came to the maths to pretty much need the AoE next time. So I'll link his video in the description if you want to check it out, a longer explanation. So other than that, needing to spend a few more skill points on area of effect, to neglect pretty much the biggest nerf of them all. The second nerf is the critical strike multiplier, which isn't especially a nerf to just miners. Pretty much what they did is on the whole passive tree for all builds, pretty much reduced the critical strike multiplier. So if I open POB here, because I have the new skill tree on it, as you can see, these nodes, for example, they give 10 crit multi for spells, while in the live game they give 15%, and they pretty much did this for most crit nodes. So this one went also from 15% to I think 10% now. I know this one also went from 30 to 25. Assassination got the biggest hit while losing 10% crit multi, but it obviously is still worth taking for the amount of points. So now, all in all, with all the crit node changes, you might lose around 30 to 50% crit multi that you had, which is kind of a lot of damage. But when you think about it, miners usually get to around 500 to 550 crit multi. So in the big picture, 30 to 50 crit multi isn't the end of the world. You lose some damage, but don't worry, because there's some buffs as well, so you'll definitely have the damage back. So obviously most nodes are still worth taking even with the changed values, but I will make a complete build guide probably tomorrow with how I'm gonna route my tree with the changes, so stay tuned for that. The thing that got changed, well, it didn't really get changed, but it was mentioned that the nearby enemies are blinded was removed. GGG did confirm this was a bug, and it is indeed not removed, so there's no changes to the ascendancy. On top of that, there's some smaller nerfs, but they're not very impactful. So the mine throwing speed, for example, these 5% nodes are becoming 4%, as you can see here on the new skill tree. I think these ones also lost 1% each, and you lost the 20% damage. Now, for me, the destructive apparatus node, I might just drop the whole cluster, unless I'm gonna play with minefield. I haven't decided yet, so it's not that big of a deal to me, especially if you don't play with minefield. The mine throwing speed is not that important. Changes efficient explosives, which is good for me, since I always anoint this on my miner build, since it's pretty cheap anoint and it helps with mana reservation if you want to run multiple auras. So the main thing I want from this is the 12% reduced mana reservation, which is now actually going to become 15%, so that's even better for me. On top of that, you're also going to get another change here which says mines have a 10% chance to be detonated in an additional time, which is a decent damage boost by itself as well on top of it. On top of that, the ball lightning itself is also getting a lesser mana cost, so not only are you getting more reduced reservation, your mines itself will also cost less, so you'll be a lot less starved on mana, so this is quite a nice quality of life change right there. Speaking of buffs, so the biggest buff of them all is that ball lightning itself, they're changing the base damage of the gem, they're increasing it by about 100 flat lightning at a level 20 gem, which is a massive increase. It's like 20% of an increase on terms of what it is now. So how you can pretty much look at this is next league, a level 20 ball lightning is probably equivalent to about a level 23 ball lightning this league. So that's a massive amount of damage that you're getting from that, which that's what I meant with the crit changes, probably not going into your damage too much. If anything, you might even have more damage now with the new ball lightning. So that was it for the majority of the buffs and the nerfs to ball lightning miner. I might have missed a thing or two, so most likely some small stuff or some passive tree stuff, because there was a lot of information on the patch notes, but I'll definitely mention that if I make a build guide tomorrow or on Friday after having revised my skill tree. And now for the last part of the video, I want to leave you with an Uber alert kill. This is my ball lightning mine from last league. After the first week, I didn't really make too many changes to it anymore, so most of this gear was obtained in the first few days of the league. Also, I did swap out quite a few gems, because I think this will be my setup next league, such as Mind Damage, Inspiration, LE Focus, Ball Lightning, Lightning Pen, and Silver Proj. The Lightning Pen I'm not quite sure on yet, but either way, it is a very big damage multiplier. Now obviously this is a 6 link, so that might be the only hard thing to get out of the setup, and maybe the Chaos hard, but the Chaos is just for some life, which if you just use a high life chest, you'll still have decent life numbers. On top of that, I'm removing my Mark of the Shaper for this skill, just because this is something that most people probably won't have access to in the first few days. The rest of the gear I'm gonna go over it quickly. It's pretty much just life and resists, some crit on the amulet, again life resist move speed, life resist, damage with hits against chill enemies. This is a hybrid mode, it's a temple mode. This is actually very cheap to get, and it does work as miners since skitter bots always chill everything around them. Belt, life and resists. Ring again, life and resist, gas speed does nothing. It says primitive gear, obviously comes hard, which again you can just switch for a high life chest. The 6 link tremor roll, of course. Also my passive tree, I unspec'd a lot of points on 19 skill points. Now the reason why is, first of all, I'm gonna need 3 points here, another 2 here, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, so those are 8 skill points I will most likely allocate next time around. And then I just removed some skill points just in case I won't be level 95 next league at the start. So it's better to do it with less stuff than you will have, so it's better to practice that way. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with the Uber alert kill. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the build guide.
Base damage. Yep, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, look, Ice Crash OP for freezing, especially with new Fist of War, totally hit base damage, yeah. Like, it's alright, like, Fist of War combined with Ice Crash is gonna be absolutely nutty. But how close is it when it comes to glacial hammer? Glacial hammer is like 200, right? Multiplied by was it 4.9? Yeah, I mean, you're not coming close to Glacial Hammer freeze, are you, chat? But then again, if your Ice Crash was like, with crit, right? Like, in terms of effective freeze, Hammercock is still gonna do better freezes than Ice Crash. But in terms of overall map clear, overall utility, you know, in terms of having to get threshold jewels or anything like that, you don't need any of that shit. It just works out of the box. Like, out of the box, full conversion, giga damage, right? We're talking...
rot, spoil, and fester.
Exile, do something!
Low on mana.